I don't know if I was supposed to play that at the beginning or the end, but there it was for the fun of it. Welcome to our second panel of Utah Remote Con 2. We just had an excellent panel about mental health and pop culture, which is super awesome. And now we are going, I won't say the opposite direction, but definitely a different direction with Mortal Kombat, the movie. If you haven't heard, it was released about 2 weeks ago. I was going to watch it in the hospital with this baby, but we couldn't get the Chromecast to work, so we had to watch it when we got home. I'm so stoked for this panel. Before we get started with the panel, I just want to remind you that we're raising money for the Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation, a super awesome organization to aid in the research of juveniles type 1 juvenile diabetes. So I think a lot of us know people who have diabetes or have a loved one or is someone with diabetes. So we want to try to raise money for them and try to help figure out how to solve this problem. So something near and dear to a couple of the members of our podcast members' hearts. So we're excited for that. You can donate at Give Butter. I'll post that link a couple times throughout the panel so you can see. It's also on Facebook on all the panel descriptions. It's going to be in that link as well. So thank you for joining us today. I'm going to turn the time over. And before I turn the time over to Val, who will be our moderator tonight, we have a giveaway prize for this as well. It's going to be a copy of the Watchmen graphic novel, which if you haven't read it yet, what are you waiting for? And then a gift card for Megaplex. So hopefully you'll be able to start using that in person or just buy some popcorn. So anyways, now, and that we'll announce the winner for that at the end of the panel. So I will turn the time over to Val, and then hopefully everyone will enjoy this podcast or this panel.
Hello. How are you?
So
your baby is adorable.
Like I said, if we could have watched Mortal Kombat in the hospital, we would have, but the Chromecast wouldn't work. So we waited.
I am so excited for this panel. I'm Val from Multiplane Podcast and Movies That Make Us, and I'm also a film critic on B98.7. And Channel 4. And this was a movie that I have been waiting for, and I'm so excited we're going to talk about it. We are going to deep dive into the Mortal Kombat. And with us today is Steve and Izzy. Tell everybody where you're from, Steve and Izzy.
Hey, everybody. I'm Steve.
And I'm Izzy.
And we're with Everything I Learned from Movies at EILF Movies, as you can kind of see here. We're a podcast. All the podcatchers, check us out. We're sweet.
Full of shenanigans. Tracy! My movies Val. That make us buddy. We do this a couple times a week together, so that's fun. And Nick, tell everybody where you're from.
Hey, I am Nick. I am from the Nerd Corporation podcast, and I am also back in January. Not really celebrated, but I've been diabetic for 20 years now in January, so I love all the donation stuff. So let's get it.
Let's get it. I like it. I like it. Okay, so we're going to deep dive into Mortal Kombat, and we are going to talk about the 2021 version of Mortal Kombat and a little bit of the 1995 version of Mortal Kombat.
There's a new Mortal Kombat movie?
Just a little one. Oh, yeah. Okay,
I watched the wrong one. Crap.
Oh, no. Okay.
I watched Annihilation like a fool.
I watched Annihilation today.
All right. You guys are already going crazy. Calm it down. Calm it down a little bit. Okay. So this Mortal Kombat came out, and it did go into theaters and onto HBO Max. It did go to theaters first and then HBO Max later. I like this, that you can go see it in the theater and then you can watch it at home. What do you guys think about this format, and how many of you saw it in theaters? Let's start with Nick.
I love it. I was on vacation when this movie came out, so I watched it on my laptop, but it's great because even though movies and theaters are kind of coming back now, their show times are really weird. There's like 2 or 3 times the whole day that they have movie time, so it's really hard to coordinate to get to go see a movie. But I if they keep doing this, then I'm all for it, because I can just get off work and be like, oh hey, I can just fire up this movie and I don't have to go anywhere. So it's fine with me. I enjoyed watching it there, but I definitely would have enjoyed watching it in theaters too.
Steven, Izzy?
We watched it on HBO Max. Actually, the first time we watched it was a preview the Thursday night before, thanks to a wonderful kung fu thing. But we've gone to theaters. We went and saw Wrath of Man the other day.
We did.
Of course, wearing masks and all that fun stuff.
Now that they're finally cleaning things, apparently for the first time ever.
Oh my gosh, clean the movie theaters. Think about it, guys. That's not a selling point.
Guys, they wipe down the seats now. They make sure to tell you how much they wipe down the seats.
Yeah,
Do they
I
actually-
love the HBO Max thing. I can't wait for Dune to come out.
Oh, yeah.
It's
Dude, I got to see on the big screen first, but I will
Yeah.
definitely be diving back in on HBO Max.
Tracy, did you see it at home or in the theater?
I saw this one at home. I saw Godzilla versus Kong both on the big screen and also on the HBO Max. This one I didn't feel a need to see it on the big screen, but I think it would have been good on it.
Okay, well, this is why I asked, because as much as it's cool that you can see this movie on your phone, what I thought was really neat about this version of the film and not so much the 1995 version of the film is that they actually hired a professional cinematographer for this movie, and they didn't use somebody's cousin that just had a camera.
Who then went on to direct Annihilation.
I mean,
the first 15 minutes of this movie is like beautifully shot. Did you guys like? I'm a huge cinematography fan, so seeing this in the theater on the big screen and then watching it at home on a big TV, but not as big as that screen, it's like one of the first things that I noticed about this film that brings it into the same place, I think, as some of these big superhero movies that we're seeing. It has a sort of cheese factor that we're going to talk about, but it was beautifully shot. Do you guys have anything to say about how well shot this movie is?
oh, Steve's first words when it started, we were 3 minutes into it, and he was like, "Oh, this is a real movie."
Yeah, this is a legit movie, or at least the 7 minutes they released 3 days prior, and I was like, "Oh no, is this
no.
all they've got?"
This is
I was a little concerned, but yeah. Long
the
story
rest
short,
of it's just
I love
on
this movie.
Handycam.
Yeah, right.
And this is only his third film as a cinematographer,
Yeah.
which
Oh,
is
wow.
phenomenal to me. I'm excited to see where else he takes it. I also love the fact that they actually hired a fight coordinator and they actually had actors who could do the fights.
Yeah.
That was great.
That was going to be the next thing we talked about. But
Oh,
Nick, did
sorry.
you have anything to say about the cinematography before we get to fighting?
Yeah, I mean, I went into this, with the frame of reference of the older Mortal Kombat movies, which are still great, even though, they were made in the 90s and they still have that 90s charm to them. But I went into this thinking, okay, this is an actual movie from 2021. It should be pretty good. And yeah, the first 10 minutes roll by in the movie and I was just like, wait, okay. Way better than I was even anticipating.
So I think when we get into Mortal Kombat, what's great about this is that it's kind of like the epitome of pop culture because I'm not a huge video game person, but when I was younger, I played Mortal Kombat. I don't really play video games anymore, but I did when this video game came out. But I think whether you've played it or not, you understand what this is. You've heard Mortal Kombat, you've heard the song. I taught dance during the whole, every single freaking cheer squad. I just want to punch people in the face when I hear that song sometimes now because I had to listen to it for 4 years because it was on every intro of every dance, whatever. But you could walk into a crowd and say, "Finish him." And people would understand whether they've seen the movie or played the game or whatever. So it's so great that this is probably the best video game movie I've seen in a long time. Because we all know, I think, what was the last video game movie that came out? It was a piece of
Sonic
crap.
the Hedgehog.
No, I forgot about that one.
Assassin's Creed.
Yeah, that one was
Hedgehog
crap
movie,
too. Sonic the Hedgehog
Silent Hill was
a lot.
good. It had a great
Yeah.
DP and director.
Yeah,
and
but
stuff,
I mean, so this one, I think to me, it stood close to the characters. the fight scenes were amazing, which we're going to get to. And it kind of pushes the boundaries of what you think you should see in a movie that came from this violent video game, you know. And so let's talk about the fight choreography, because I'm watching this movie and the fight choreography, and the first thing that I'm thinking of is like Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon meets oh, what did I just watch? I'm sorry, I've been up since 3 a.m. and I
Fast and the Furious.
No.
No, not Fast and Furious.
That's what the
But
next
no.
Fast and Furious is going to be, actually.
So excited.
They need to
We're
get
going to stay
that
away from Fast and Furious because we're going to get
Yeah,
way
yeah.
off track, because
That's another panel.
it's another panel. But what did you guys feel like, you know, being a fan of the video games and the movie from 1995, and then seeing the fight choreography in this film? You know, I just kind of want to get your take on that. Did you like it? Did you think it was too much? Did you think it was not enough? Let's go with Tracy first on this one.
One of the things that I loved is that the director was smart and let the scene play out. He let these fights play out. He stayed wider in his shots. He had longer takes, really letting us watch. It's almost like a ballet. It's a dance. And these guys are moving through each part. There's only one time, I can't remember which fight it was, but there's one where he briefly has a lot of close cuts, close-ups and fast cuts. And that's typically how action is done these days. And it just kind of disrupted me. I didn't enjoy that one as much. But watching these guys and having skilled fighters with good choreography who knew what they were doing, even without the special effects. And some of the special effects was phenomenal. But even without that, it was enjoyable to watch. That whole first scene where he's taking out guys with a garden trowel. I mean, that was fantastic.
What about you, Stephen, Izzy?
Oh, I loved it. Yeah, the human on human fights were definitely the better ones. That, like Tracy was saying, just shot better and you know letting the scene breathe a little bit. Obviously, there's a couple where it's like they may not be the strongest fighters, or there's a lot of CG incorporated, like fighting a 8-foot tall Nathan Jones, with a giant hammer kind of thing. And I mean, but even those were pretty good. It's just obviously they were cut, shot differently to kind of hide things. But I'm excited for the sequel with Elaine Moosey as Johnny Cage. Hashtag it.
But yeah,
I would be down for that. I saw an interview today. The Miz from WWE wants to throw his hat in the ring.
I mean, I'm sure he'd be all right. I know the Marine 3 through 7 would do a decent job, but I also know Scott Adkins exists, and I would love for him to be a part of the franchise too. But he's got everything else, so
it's true. Yeah, this movie is the exact opposite of a Michael Bay Transformer movie,
Yeah.
so
Yes.
it's amazing.
What about you, Nick?
Yeah, I kind of agree with Tracy how it was a little bit kind of, I don't want to say jarring to see those up close fight scenes, but it was really like one of my favorite fight scenes is in the very beginning when all the all the stuff's going down between Hanzo.
You can spoil it. Everybody that's
Okay.
watching this should have seen the movie. If not, you should have seen it. We're going to spoil
So-
everything.
So
yeah,
well.
so when they go in with Scorpion in the very beginning, and he's just fighting everybody, like it's just him versus everybody, and he's using his I don't know what you want to call it, his hand
Fade or,
Garden trowel,
Yeah.
trowel, yeah.
yeah, that, and then I just love how they put that together, and it's just really cool for me to see the advancements in the fight scenes from the original one, where you can tell that it's like it just looks like Liu Kang's on a wire doing a bicycle kick, into this one where they've got actual effects, and I just like seeing that jump between the two movies.
Roger says almost on point, but they needed more techno. Everything else was perfect.
excellent point, Roger. I
was
do
disappointed
appreciate
in the theme
the
song.
orchestral kind of version they have come in for like 5 seconds towards the end, but yeah, it needs to be a little more techno.
And
Well,
then
like that
Facebook
first-
user said they did so well copying move sets from the game. And Tracy, I'll get to you in a minute, but that was like when I was in the theater with my best friend who he like knows all of the backstories of all the characters, and I just know like the ABAA, whatever, like I was making him do the move, and then they do it. Like one of my favorite scenes is when he takes Jack's arms off.
Yeah.
And then he just pushes him. I'm like, he took his arms off. Like I just knew at that point this movie was gonna be awesome because like they're doing. And then when they finally do the kick, you know, and there isn't wires, and you just see the kick. And then when the lady gets sawed in half, I was like, that. I mean, like, but what I loved so much about it, and I want to hear your guys' take on this, is I loved that there was the blood and the gore and what you have in the game, but they had so much in between it, so it didn't feel like they were just shoving it down your throat. So Nick, like, was it enough of those moves for you and enough of the blood and kind of like over the topness from the game for you, or did you think they needed more?
No, I mean, I was expecting, you know, just like a gore fest, because it's funny because that's the way I got my parents to buy me Mortal Kombat when I was a kid, is I told them that you could turn the blood off on the very first games.
You could.
And so, I mean, I was expecting a lot of that, but I'm glad that it wasn't just like I wasn't watching a video game adaptation of like the new Doom game. I'm glad that they kind of kept it, you know, they kind of went back and forth between all that stuff, and then they kind of went back to, you know, a little bit of the story, and it wasn't just like fatality after fatality after fatality. So,
Tracy, how about you?
Yeah, I totally agree with Nick there. I felt like there was enough that it satisfied as a fan, but it wasn't a continual thing. And so when we get to the Saw one, to me that was like that was when we were just like, oh, and the arm. When those moments hit, they hit harder because they were spaced out.
You saw his hat spin up, and like as a fan, you knew it was coming. And
yes.
Right.
Okay, here we go.
But the one that I thought was super creative was at the end when you've got Sub-Zero and Scorpion, and he stabs him, and then he freezes his blood, and then stabs him with his own blood as a frozen bloodsicle. I'm like, all right, that's creative. That's some ingenious stuff right there.
How about you, Stephen? Izzy?
Yeah, so on the opening scene, the beautiful opening fight between what's going to be Scorpion and Sub-Zero, on a slightly side note, I really, really appreciated how they were like, hey, look, this guy is Japanese, this guy is Chinese. They're not the same guy. So I really appreciated those little nods that like, hey.
And when he says, I can't understand your words, but I understand what's going on here. Like I appreciated that too. The culture, you know, how they brought in the different cultures and they told us, you know, what language they were speaking. I really liked that.
The only thing I have with that is at the end when he's talking to Cole in Chinese, I'm just waiting for him to go, what?
Yeah, and then,
what do you want me to do?
And then Scorpion's talking to him in ancient Japanese, and Cole, like, it's like,
what's going on? Let's fight.
I'm an orphan from Chicago. No, but back to the gore. The sawing, what is the Valkyrie lady's name?
Nataro or something like that.
Yeah. I feel like her whole character was the most video game character in the whole movie, because you have this huge buildup. You know, it's like, oh, look at my beautiful killer. Oh, here she is. She has this grand entrance. She's beautiful. She's amazing. She's a killer. And she just immediately gets taken out. And I feel like that's the most video game moment.
Yeah. I mean, at first I was like, that was just a waste of character. And then like you, I was like, but I mean, that's a video game, man. Like,
and she's also one of those characters I think was only around for one game. So
I was going to say that's a deep dive. That was a same thing with I can't think of his name. That's how obscure he is. The guy with the hammer. I think he was like a Super Nintendo exclusive or something, you know.
Steve, should we talk about your theory about Cole?
About Cole?
Since we're talking about one game characters?
Maybe you guys already know. Maybe it's already online or something. Is Cole Stryker? basically, because I remember Stryker from like I think it was 2 or 3, the like riot cop guy that had the batons. Is that who he's eventually going to be, or is he just supposed to be like
Could be.
completely
I got the
new?
feeling like he was just this new guy, but who knows? They could do that.
There's
Yeah.
a lot of it's saying that he's just a brand new character, and I don't. I don't. Oh God, I hope he doesn't become Stryker. He was like my least favorite character of the whole.
Well, and that's just new. Like it's a new take on him. Like maybe
yeah.
the sequel he becomes a Defender of Earth kind of thing. But I don't know.
But there was a Rico, I think, in like I want to say Mortal Kombat 4, like on N64. Right. But
okay. Speaking of characters, that brings me to my next question. Who was the biggest standout character for you guys that you were like, okay, this is my favorite character of the movie? And then what character do you think, except for the cat right there, do you think was maybe like they maybe missed it on this character? Like I kind of want to go like your favorite, and then they kind of missed it. So Steven, Izzy, let's start with you guys.
Who's your favorite, babe?
Oh, who's my favorite, babe?
Kano.
It's Kano.
Everybody loves
Kano's
Kano.
the best one.
He gets all the funny lines. He gets all that. And it's always the same two. They get the worst character representations in these movies. It's Raiden and Jax. Jax is just always... He had his arms ripped off, and everybody's basically like, "Oh yeah, he's on his way." Like, "Oh no, he almost died." And then the rest of the time, he's like, "What's going on? I'm supposed to be an expert.
We have to go find him. Oh, somebody else found him for me because I was busy on a side quest."
And then Raiden's Gandalf. That's basic. Raiden's just like, "Oh, this tournament, I should be training you guys for years, but I'll give you a couple of weeks." And
I was busy smoking with hobbits, so sorry. I'm also going to use this moment to point out that this movie has a bunch of not a bunch. This movie has a select few very strong women, but does not pass the Bechdel test.
Yeah.
But I like the female characters that are in it, even though watching it the first time until like halfway through the movie, I thought the daughter was his girlfriend.
What?
I somehow
completely
missed the mother. I somehow totally missed the mother, and he looks so young.
Yeah, he looks like he had the child when he was 12. That's
all right. I'm gonna move away from that and go to Tracy. I do want to say that Marley is chiming in here, and she says Scorpion is the best. And then we're gonna go over here to Steph on the other side that says Kano. So I kind of want to see like Steph and Marley kind of go head to head.
Fight.
Scorpion.
Fight. All right, Tracy, who was a standout character for you that you just thought, okay, they hit the mark with this character, and then who do you think maybe they missed with?
So I'm going to go with Steven Izzy. I thought Kano was fantastic. I think he was the actor having the most fun.
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
It was just the right amount of cheese. It was just the right amount of scenery chewing without going over the top and being annoying. I was once again kind of disappointed by Sonya. I felt like the actress just didn't really work for me. She was just kind of bland.
Jason Statham's ex-wife from The Meg, you're saying might have been.
Let's not knock the Meg. I will kick you right out of this room.
Wait, for making fun of the Meg, because I don't know if you know or not. It's the best sci-fi movie adaptation I've ever seen. Because that was a sci-fi movie first, called Megalodon, and it's like pretty much the exact same movie, weirdly harder. They kill more characters.
I love it. I love it so much. Nick, how about you? Oh, were you done, Tracy?
I was just going to say I want more of Scorpion and Sub-Zero.
Yeah. Okay.
But there's obviously more there. I want to see more of that.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Nick, how about you?
So I do agree with Kano being fantastic. He had that line when Liu Kang's trying to train him after he keeps tripping him, where he goes, "Is that the only move that you know?" And that's like countless friend fights on Mortal Kombat when
I'm throwing in that cheese.
So that was great. That was one of my favorite Kano parts. But my favorite character had to have probably next to Kano had to have been Cabal, because he's one of my favorites in the game, and I feel like they got him like nailed him to a point. I sometimes I felt like his accent was a little over the top, but like character wise, I thought he was great. And then I gotta go with Sonya for being a little, like Tracy said, a little bit bland. I also felt kind of like Liu Kang didn't get as much as he should have gotten.
Yeah.
Do you
Like,
guys
is he
think-
supposed to be like a teenager, or like he
don't
seemed
know.
like really young and small? But yeah.
I do have a question for the chat here. You guys are saying Sonya was sort of bland. What is Sonya's major personality type supposed to be?
I mean, but they had a chance to give her one. I actually didn't have a problem with Sonya. I kind of had an issue with what they gave her. They had an opportunity,
she didn't have enough to do.
And
I would agree with that.
I do like that she took down, the biggest a-hole in the whole movie. And I love how he died. Like, that was one of my favorite scenes in the whole movie.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that's awesome. But I think that they didn't give her enough to do. I don't mind her as an actress, but I do think that they just had her be the sidekick. At the beginning of the movie, when they say go to Sonya, I'm like, oh my gosh, she's going to be like the person that gets everyone together. She's the one that knows the most about what's going on, with this whole universe. She's the one that's trying to bring everybody together, that has a symbol, even though she doesn't have a symbol, because she's thinking bigger than herself, and pulls it together. And then after everybody gets together and they go on the mission, she's no longer leading the mission anymore. Like, I feel like for me, that was, you set us up to think that Sonya is going to be this bigger part, and then you kick her out for half the movie, and then you bring her back in at the end to kick some royal butt, and then she succeeds to get her ultimate challenge. So for me, I don't think it was so much her. I think it was the writing. I think they had an opportunity. They had an opportunity to make her more than what she was in the game, and that's TNA. Like, we all know that that's what it is. You know what I mean? All the girls in this game is TNA, like, big time, which is fine. I'm not against TNA. I've said this before on many of our episodes. I'm for it, but I like when they give the girls also a brain, and she could kick butt. Like, she didn't need the superpowers that they had to kick these men's butts. So I did love that.
She captured Kano alone after he has his symbol before she has hers.
Right?
Yeah, I mean, I sort of get what they were trying to do. Like, they have her be the badass leader in the beginning, and then, of course, she has to pass the torch to the main character because he's got to have his character arc. But yeah, you're right. They didn't handle that the best way. They just sort of like swept her to the side.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're like, well, we don't need you anymore. You're a liability.
Is it my turn yet? No, not yet. How about, is it my turn now? No, not yet. And
I am gonna grant her that she gets her symbol and immediately figures out her arcana.
Yeah,
that's true.
Everybody else, it took them up to years.
Because she's a woman. Just kidding. It's fine.
That's true.
She got hers immediately because she's that badass.
I just think it's because she was so in tune with her midi-chlorians.
That's it.
Oh wait, that's a different movie.
Her bracelets.
That Sonya was almost enough to make me forget about Ronda Rousey's Sonya.
Oh,
was that a thing?
I just threw up in my mouth.
She was the voice of Sonya for Mortal Kombat 11.
Yeah,
it's kind of weird when Mortal Kombat Annihilation Sonya is kind of like she may have had the best part in any of these movies.
Dude, I still think the best Sonya was the Sonya from the first Mortal Kombat movie. Like
Bridget Wilson?
Yeah, I thought she was great.
She's all right. I loved her hair in the third act.
I've got a question for everybody.
Yeah.
Do you think it's odd that you've got a game with so many iterations with like 90 plus characters, but if you look at the 95 and the 2021, they're almost exactly the same in the characters that they chose.
Yeah.
I thought was there's a few here and there that don't, but.
Well, and that's what I liked so much about it, is because I think that if you do not know this, because again, I'm only familiar with the 1995 movie that I maybe watched once, right? And then the games that I played 20 years ago, more than that, I'm going to age myself way longer than 20 years ago. And I still understand who these characters are. And I was sitting, when I watched it at home on Saturday night to get ready for this, I was my second time watching it, my fiance's first time watching it. And he's like, I've only played the second Mortal Kombat 2. So, I don't know. I said, you're going to be fine following it. And then he's just like a little kid in a candy store, because every time a character would come up, he's like, oh my gosh, is that Kano? And I don't say anything. And then they say who it is. He's like, I was right. And then he's like guessing who these characters were. He's a 37-year-old man and like super excited that he's seeing these characters. And so they did a fantastic job at bringing us in again with these characters that are familiar to us, and then throwing in some things that were like, oh, I remember kind of that one and this one over here and that one. And then they're going to set us up for number 2 where they're going to expand. And this is where I think the DC universe could learn from Mortal Kombat, because I would rather watch this movie again than Wonder Woman 2, because that was a piece of crap. But they gave us characters that were familiar, that we liked, and then they kind of sprinkled in some ones that we maybe didn't remember, but we're intrigued now. And now they're going to bring us to another movie where they're going to give us a few more. They didn't just throw 20 freaking characters in one movie and expect us to care about it. Right?
Wait, Val. So you're telling me you preferred a movie where we finally got to see Sub-Zero and Scorpion go at it in an ice arena versus a movie where Wonder Woman cries at wind?
Yeah. All day long, every day. Every day. All day long.
And if anybody wants to fight me on that, that's how that movie ends. Go ahead, but that's how that movie ends. She cries at wind.
I'll stand with you on that. All right. So for the second half of this discussion, I want to know your predictions. All right. So where do you think this is going to go? What characters would you like to see? And where would you like the storyline to go? Because as much as this movie was exciting and I enjoyed it, the storyline of the main character was a little weak for me. I personally would like to see his daughter be a new character that comes up from the ranks, that earns her place at the table, and kind of go there. And I'm saying that knowing that you don't go to Mortal Kombat for the screenplay. Like that's not why we go. Like we want it to be a little bit cheesy, and they gave us that. But so let's start with Nick first. Where do you want to see it go? And talk a little bit about that.
I would like to see, definitely love to see it venture into the clan wars between the Shira Ryu and the somebody's got to help me out with the other name. Lin Kuei. Yeah, I would love to see, like, not necessarily like most of a movie based off of that, but I would like to get like a little foreshadowing about what, like, how that whole war came to be, and then just do another Annihilation, just sprinkle in some Sector and Cyrax, and I'll be happy.
Smoke and
What do you think about specific story with any of the characters that we had in this? And is there a specific character that you want to see in the next one? Like, you're just like, they've got to have this character.
I don't know if it will be a next movie character, but if they could throw in maybe, if we could see like Shao Kahn or like maybe Quan Chi or something like that, or even just like a glimpse of like Noob Saibot, because he's a meme character, and if he was in the next movie, it would be perfect.
All right, Steve, Izzy?
Obviously, Johnny Cage. You want to see him come in, played by whoever. Elaine Moussi would be great. But
Jean-Claude is still alive.
Yeah, and the robots like Cyrax and Sector and all them, you're saying those are great just for like fodder to like get the fatalities out of the way without like, oh, it's a human being. I mean, Baraka and the Tungarians. I've been watching a lot of Star Trek, so I don't remember what race they are or whatever.
Tarkatans.
Tarkatans, that's it. Yeah. And of course, with Johnny Cage coming in, you get that budding romance with Sonya Blade that leads to their offspring being in the sequels, the like Mortal Kombat 10 or whatever we're up to now. But Yeah, I don't know. You know?
I'm thinking like honestly, I'm just open to whatever happens in the rest of the movies. They've already like exceeded my expectations, so I'm happy. What I would love to see is them to do like what Disney's doing with the MCU, make some little half-hour, 45-minute dramas, and then we can just have like a day in the life of a thunder god. We can have some backstory on some of the clans, like what are they up to over in the outer world? Just some like little quick tidbits.
It's like The Office, but in our world. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, Mortal Kombat as The Office. Somebody pitch that. Like somebody write a letter to someone right now.
But only in the
You just
outworld. Like I
imagine,
just want the outworld characters.
It's Kano's turn to come
Yes,
in, right?
right.
Oh my gosh. All right, how about you, Tracy?
I'm excited to actually have a tournament. I was kind of surprised on this one that we didn't actually get into that at all, but but I'm with you guys. Get some of the robots in here, just as fodder. You can just knock those out quick. I'm interested to see Johnny Cage. I think that could be a really fun addition, depending on who they cast. I want to see more of Scorpion and Sub-Zero, because, like I said at the beginning, they obviously Sub-Zero has a thing with Scorpion, and I want to know more about that and dive deeper into that.
Well, they're both in hell now, right?
Right.
Yeah, Hellboars.
Office combat.
He put my medallion in Jello again.
Oh, poor HR guy.
Somebody needs to make this a YouTube series. Like seriously, just do it. Okay, so I have
ordering action figures now.
I have a question, and this goes, to kind of like the canon. And I hate to bring that up, but we're going to of the characters. But my best friend who I went and saw the movie with, he said that he loved the movie, but he said one of the things that he didn't love so much is the fact that they made Sub-Zero a bad guy. Instead of like in the games and in the lore, from his knowledge, he said that he's not necessarily a bad guy. You have to have sides here, right? And so what did you guys take when you got, Sub-Zero and you have his whole storyline and everything? Was there a part that you didn't like, or did you like the way that it went, or would you have rather seen it go a different direction? Because I do think Scorpion and Sub-Zero, there's so much more storyline to tell there, and I do hope to see more of that going on. But at any time, do you think that they will be on the same side?
I mean, I know was it like Mortal Kombat 2 or 3, it's the brother of Sub-Zero that's Sub-Zero and coming back to avenge, Scorpion stuff. So that may kind of tie in later.
Here's the thing. So Sub-Zero is definitely like the villain of this movie. In fact, he's the main villain.
Oh, yeah.
But is he really on the side of evil, or is he just trying to finish the first job by ending the bloodline that he apparently didn't finish all those years ago?
Right.
Is he a bad guy in general, or is he just that mad at Scorpion?
Well, and I mean, you always in any, movie or superhero or comic book or whatever, depending on what side you're on, they're both bad guys depending on what side you're on. They're both their enemies, and so you can kind of see it on both ways. But I guess I just wanted to kind of hear, were you okay that they really just made him the villain of this movie? Did that sit okay with you as a fan?
He's great.
Didn't really have an effect on me. I mean, they're both, in the games, Scorpion's portrayed as like the bad guy, because he comes like up from hell and stuff like that. But I mean, it didn't affect me hardly at all that he was like that. They kind of switched the roles. I thought it was actually kind of cool to see it switched up like that.
Yeah, and I had a question too. Like just watching it for the second time, because they go back way in the past. Nice.
Robert,
right. Was Scorpion the last Earthrealm person to actually win the tournament? Because it's like the 9 or 10 generations later that
excuse us, our cats are trying to destroy things.
That's
because it's almost going to be 10 times in a row, which means that now they take over, so for the last 9 fights, it's been this. And so I guess maybe he was the last one to win for Earth.
And so then like Sub-Zero's like 300 years old, and I don't know. I just don't know how all that works, if he's supposed to be human or is he from Outworld? But yeah, I don't
think
know.
he's human, and I sort of got the impression that he went to Outworld.
Yeah.
And here's the thing: is like maybe we'll find out in the next one. Did he go to Outworld because he wants to be a bad guy, or did he go to Outworld so that he can keep Scorpion from coming back from hell?
And Shang Tsung's keeping him alive or something. I don't know. I'm assuming these will all be answered in the sequel coming 2022, starring Elaine Moussi as Johnny Cage.
I don't think it's going to be 2022. We'll see.
No.
Well, and Robert brings up a good point, and I get the feeling like Shao Kahn was supposed to be the big bad villain, but they didn't give that character like really anything to do.
Oh, he needed much more to do. He's way too talented to be sitting on the sidelines.
Right?
They cast such a great actor. When I saw him, I was like freaking out because I was like, okay, SHIT is gonna go down. And then he just kind of like just walks around with his cape and his hairdo.
Yeah.
Like he doesn't really do a whole lot of anything.
Yeah, I wanted more of him being almost using Sub-Zero to do his dirty deeds, to kind of like manipulate people and be more of a kind of if you're going to be behind the scenes guy, give me something that tells me that you're the ultimate bad guy or one of the ultimate bad guys.
Yeah, you need to be more like Raul Julia as M. Bison.
Of course.
Did anybody get the vibe when they're walking into where he's at? Like I got this total like Mad Max vibe. When you see what's her name with the
Melina.
Melina, when she's walking up to them and they're all in this like vast like just blank space of nothing. I was like, this is kind of like Mad Maxy. This is a little
Oh yeah.
Well, and Humongous Erectus was Ryko, so I mean, it all makes sense.
That's the character's name. We're keeping it clean.
Yeah, needs to be Jennifer.
Here we go.
Shao Kahn was the Mandarin in Iron Man 3.
Slow clap, Robert. Slow clap, sir.
Robert is on it tonight.
Oh wait, Shao Kahn wasn't in this one. We're talking about Shang Tsung, right?
Yes.
Shao Kahn's going to be played by Dave Bautista, I'm assuming, in the sequel.
Shao Kahn's a lion from Jungle Book.
Oh yeah, good old Shao Kahn.
No,
King of the
Because
Tigers.
Melina is my go-to for the video game. Such a bad A. I can't say any of the swear words because Jake gets mad at me. So I'm
Also,
keeping it clean.
where's Kitana? Is she coming into this?
Yeah, I was waiting to see her, so maybe they're not. They're going to kind of sprinkle the women on us. I don't know. That sounds weird, but I mean, it also sounds fun. It also sounds fun. So,
Mortal Kombat 2, Lady Combat.
Oh,
I mean,
if you're sprinkling the women on, I'm there.
I think that's what they should call it. Mortal Kombat 2, sprinkling the women on.
babality.
I'll see you guys next year for the Mortal Kombat 2 sprinkling the women on panel.
No, it would be really interesting to see her in the next movie and then actually see a good script for the other women in this movie. We had some awesome moments from them, but again, I think they were just kind of background a little bit. So that, I mean, they were fighting just as hardcore as the men, which I loved. Like they didn't take it easy.
Right.
It was just like the game. It doesn't matter, in the game, we'll smash your head in. It doesn't matter if you're a woman or a man. I love that scene. When they smashed the head, I was like, what?
Yeah. Say Cole's wife saved him. She came in with that accent, was like, forget this.
Right?
Thump.
Right.
Well, the thing I'm hoping in the second one is like this one was so grounded in a lot of ways, trying to set it in the real world, kind of embrace the cheesiness. And we got bits and pieces of that where like Kano's fatality, Mortal Kombat 2. That's a winner. That's a winner. but I'd like to see them like loosen up a little bit and have a little bit more fun with it.
Oh, I think that I have a feeling they will. I think this one was just sort of like, hey, if you have never seen the old movies, if you've never played the game, whatever, we're giving you the introduction. Like, here's a spine. We're not going to do a full spinal column. You know, like we're going to freeze some arms off, but we're not going to show like tendons ripping. We're going to ease you into it. By the way, it's like wizard battles and like giant monsters. And then I have a feeling that like 2 and 3, they're like, and we're it.
Now they're like completely in Outworld. You get all the pit levels. You get the acid bath. You get the portals.
By the way, I love the subtle little things like the different arenas.
Yeah.
You know, they had like the ancient arena where they were doing their training. They had the ice arena at the end. Like, you know, they had the like junkyard at Cole's house. Like, it was just those little subtle things.
Wait, you can teleport them anywhere? Boom, they're in the middle of like WrestleMania 35, whatever they're up to. Thunderdome,
Walmart, you know, just have them like go from different place to different place. Okay, so we're wrapping up. We're almost done here. So I want you guys, if there's something that you didn't get to say about the movie that you want to say, just, you know, take like a minute to say it, because we're going to wrap up and we're going to give away our raffle in just a few minutes. And then like, what would you rate this movie? You know, you can give it a number or a regular grade, but just kind of, you know, say whatever you wanted, your last like statement about the movie, and then kind of grade it. Tracy?
I saw a really interesting behind the scenes making of this film, and I want to see more of it, because I love the fight choreography. But when they're fighting with Goro, they actually had a stuntman in a blue suit on stilts. And then they had another guy standing in front of them, and they had to choreograph their movements to get the forearms for the motion capture. And it's the funniest looking thing. It's 2 guys in blue suits with giant arms on stilts, and it's fantastic.
Chicken fighting. On the shoulders.
I had a lot of fun with this movie. It was very entertaining. I thought it was pretty well written. I thought the cinematography was great. I'd go like a B+ on this one. Just entertaining fun.
Nice. All right, Steve and Izzy, you got to take up the same amount of time as one person. Go.
8 out of 10 spinal columns. It's super good. They've got room for improvement.
Yeah.
Okay.
I give it a 9 out of 10. I really like the way it's going with video games, movies actually trying. I like it. So I support it.
Awesome. And Nick?
I really enjoyed it. There were some parts that I wish could have, like, I have been saying this since the first Mortal Kombat movie, but I guess it's too much to ask for an actual human reptile. Like, we keep getting the little raptor guy, and I'm like, can we please just get like a human reptile that like pulls the mask down and does the spit? Like, that's what I was hoping. But at the same time, I'm like, oh, they kind of are giving you a nod to the old, like, god-awful CGI reptile from 95.
I prefer a raptor that can talk.
Yeah.
That's what I want to see.
Go watch Super Mario World then.
Okay. Force me.
But
My Blu-ray right
yeah. I liked it all in all. I'd probably give it I wrote a little mini review for our Facebook page when it came out, and I gave it an 8 out of 10. So I'm gonna stick with that.
All right. Well, I appreciate you guys so much for doing this panel with me. It was so much fun. I hope everybody watching, thank you so much for your comments. It's fun to like do the back and forth and get those comments from you. Hope you enjoyed it. And Steph has something to give away.
Yeah, so we're giving away Watchmen graphic novel and a Megaplex gift card. So our winner for that is Erica Startup, who was the moderator of last panel. So yay, Erica. Thank you guys. That was such a fun panel. Like I was telling these guys, we did this kind of Mortal Kombat, we kind of added in last minute, and I'm so glad we did, because it was super fun. If you haven't watched it, catch it before it leaves HBO Max. They're not a sponsor, but they can talk to us about that if they want to. So thank you guys so much. Have a good night. Be sure to check us out tomorrow. We're doing Cast Off. Gosh, I should have the other. And then we're doing Apes. We're doing our ape movie panel. So we have super fun panels tomorrow. So keep checking in and keep watching us. So thanks so much, you guys. Have such a good night.
Thank you. Have a good night, everybody.
Bye.